grief lasts longer than sympathy does. Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I don't really know how I want to start this. By now you will have read the title and you'll know exactly what this is about. But I kind of wanted to make a video in regards to how I actually felt in the first few days after losing my baby, the first few weeks and the first few months. And just to give you an idea of kind of what you can expect. I mean, everybody grieves differently, so how I feel isn't necessarily exactly how you'll feel. But if you're anything like me and you're searching on YouTube what to expect, or just, I don't know, just something like that, then hopefully you've come across this video and I can help you out a little bit. So it's been 7.5 months since my late miscarriage. I gave birth to my daughter at 17 weeks, so that was on the 10th of April 2018. And I basically just wanted to go, like, I'm kind of going through my Facebook posts because I posted a lot on there at the start. I feel like they'll be my most genuine feelings because they were what I was feeling in the moment. And to be honest with you, everything kind of feels like a dream, like a really vivid dream. I don't know if you've heard of lucid dreaming before, but it's where you're conscious in your dreams and you can control them. It kind of feels like that, where I'm conscious in a dream but I can't control it. So yeah, I'm just going to go through some of my posts. I've screenshotted just the important ones, so this shouldn't take long. So these are a combination of statuses that I made as well as posts. I'm basically just going to read one and then kind of elaborate on how I was feeling, because this is the best way I can do it, because I honestly don't remember very much. Like, I don't know, whenever I try and explain depression to people, for me it's just kind of like I'm in this bubble and it's a black bubble, so it's really dark and I can't see out of it and people can't see in it, and it's like I'm just living my whole life in this bubble of darkness. Like, I will never forget the way that this made me feel, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been kind of hazy. I don't know if this makes any sense to you. So I'm going to start off with my first post I made on April 11th, which was the announcement of my baby. So I posted a photo on Facebook of my bump and asked people what they thought we were having. And I did that on the 8th of April, I think, which was the day my waters broke. And then I gave birth to her on the 10th, and then I posted my first announcement on the 11th. So the first post was basically just an announcement saying that we'd just given birth. It was something along the lines of, my partner and I are devastated to announce the birth and passing of our baby boy. Now, you'll notice that I go between pronouns a lot in this, and if this is your first time seeing my videos, then I'll explain why very soon. If you saw my storytime videos, then you'll already know why, but I promise I'll get there. So basically I announced the birth. I put that he was 100 grams and 18 centimetres. He was born at 8:30 AM, 10th of April, basically just all his details. And just left it at that. I put a little photo up of him. I managed to get some photos. He was very tiny, so 18 centimetres is from the tip of my finger to about here on my wrist. So really tiny. And I took a photo and I posted that as well. So that was my first post. So the first day that I left the hospital, I was still in shock from giving birth. I gave birth in one town and then I was due to catch a flight back to my hometown in a few hours, and it was organised through the hospital board because I was there for a different appointment, which I didn't end up making because I ended up giving birth. So it was paid for by the hospital. They'd organised my shuttles and everything to and from the airport and the hospital and vice versa, and so I didn't feel like I could ring up and change my flight, so I caught my flight at 3 o'clock. The first weirdest thing for me was I was kind of hungry afterwards, or I knew that I needed something to eat. The nurses suggested I get something to eat, and the first thing I got was a ham sandwich, which I hadn't been eating while I was pregnant because I'd read that deli food was not safe necessarily. So I got a ham sandwich and that was really weird. And then the next thing was when we got to the airport, I was still kind of hungry, and the person I was with suggested getting Subway, and my first thought was, I can't get that, I'm not allowed Subway. And then I realised, oh wait, I could actually if I wanted to. So yeah, basically I just felt numb, and although I was with people, I felt suddenly really alone. I'd just like to point out too that 2 months prior to losing my baby, I had just lost my grandfather, who I was actually caring for. So when I'm explaining my grief to you, it's kind of hard to differentiate between the grief I have for my granddad and the grief I have for my baby, because it happened all at once. I'm trying to explain kind of generally, but more specifically about the baby as well. So yeah, even though I was surrounded by people, I still felt really alone, and I felt empty, like not just my stomach was empty, and like my heart was empty, my head was empty, my soul felt empty. I broke that day. And basically a piece of me died with her that day. There's going to be a lot of crying in this video, I'm sorry. You guys are basically my diary at the moment. I wanted to do this video today because I woke up and I still have my period. I've had it for about 10 days now. And I mentioned in another video of mine that my periods are really bad since I lost the baby. They're a lot more painful. And I basically woke up this morning and thought to myself, I'm never going to get pregnant again. This is never going to happen. And every time I get my period, it's kind of like a reminder that I'm never going to... It's kind of like a reminder that I'm not pregnant anymore, or I haven't just had a baby on my due date like I should have, you know. And it's kind of just like a kick in the guts, really. Okay, so the next post that I made was just a simple one. It was on April 12th. It says, "It's of some comfort to know that the last sound you heard was my heart beating," which is kind of self-explanatory. The next post I made, which I think was about a week later, was a poem called "An Angel Never Dies," and I'd really like to share this poem with you because it's beautiful and it explained exactly how I was feeling. Don't let them say I wasn't born, that something stopped my heart. I felt each tender squeeze you gave, I've loved you from the start. Although my body you can't hold, it doesn't mean I'm gone. This world was worthy not of me, God chose that I move on. I know the pain that drowns your soul and what you're forced to face. You have my word, I'll fill your arms, someday we will embrace. You'll hear that it was meant to be, God doesn't make mistakes, but that won't soften your worst blow or make your heart not ache. I'm watching over all you do, another child you'll bear. Believe me when I say to you that I am always there. There will come a time, I promise you, when you will hold my hand, stroke my face and kiss my lips, and you'll understand. Although I've never breathed your air or gazed into your eyes, that doesn't mean I never was. An angel never dies. The next post I made was another poem, so I'm just going to read this one and then I'll explain to you how I was feeling. So it says, "The moment that you left me, my heart was split in two. One side was filled with memories and the other side died with you. I often lay awake at night when the world is fast asleep and take a walk down memory lane with tears upon my cheek. Remembering you is easy, I do it every day, but missing you is a heartache that never goes away. I hold you tightly within my heart and there you will remain. You see, life has gone on without you, but it will never be the same." And yeah, so that one was posted on April 24th. And I basically just put the caption, I don't know if I'm going to post every week, but it seems to be what's working at the moment. And I remember feeling like, I know Facebook isn't, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Posting my feelings on Facebook did make me feel better. At the time, I had a lot of people that I could talk to, which I'm super lucky for, but I also felt like I talked about it every minute of every day, that people were getting sick of listening to it, so I thought posting it on Facebook was, you know, kind of a way to get my feelings out there and out of my head without directly annoying anybody. I do want to read you the caption that I put with that. I said, "I don't know if I'll post every week, but that seems to be what works for now. Only 2 weeks since I lost you, baby boy. Not a minute passes when you're not on my mind. I yearn to hold you and kiss your cheeks. I long for all those sleepless nights if it meant we could be together. I love you until the end of time and I'll carry you with me forever. So yeah, I remember I wasn't sleeping very well and I kind of stopped eating, and I remember lying in bed just kind of wishing that there was a different reason that I was awake at 3 a.m, you know? Like, I kind of wished that I was tired because my baby wouldn't stop crying in the night, or because I had to get up to breastfeed, or I had to get up and give them a cuddle, or just any other reason. And I hear people not complaining, but people who have children saying, oh, I'm so tired, my child only slept from here till here and I was up all night. And I don't expect them to, but I don't think they understand that I would give absolutely anything, like anything, to be tired right now if it meant I had a living child, you know. So I just feel like people need to be a bit more grateful. So this picture is really cool. I took this on the 26th of April, and I'll insert it just here so you can see, and I'll try and circle what I'm talking about. So I was thinking of my baby when I looked up at the sky, and I saw this shape in the clouds. So where the first circle is, I can see the shape of a baby. So the baby's like flying towards one way, it's a side profile, and it's reaching its arm up like this, and it's got its two legs out behind it like this, and kind of just reaching up towards the sky. It's got a round head, a back, two little legs, a belly, and then an arm reaching up. I don't know if you can see that, but okay, I even captioned, I don't know if I'm going crazy, but I can see this. And then right below the image of the baby, I could see two angel wings on either side, and then directly below that I thought it kind of looked like a fantail, which is a native bird here in New Zealand, and so that's on a side profile as well. It's flying the same direction as the baby, and it's got its wings with the lines through it, and then a long tail, which is the reason that I got the fantail tattoo. So I saw that in the clouds, and I directly took that as a sign that she was with me and that I would be okay eventually. So, like, I know it kind of seems like I'm just reading posts off Facebook and I'm not really explaining to you how I was feeling, and that's, like I said, it all feels kind of like a dream, and there's bits and pieces that I remember and bits that I don't remember, and I wanted to give you guys my genuine feelings. So this was just the best way that I could think to do this, and I'll talk more about it at the end. This photo here is a software that I decided to make. I used just an old t-shirt of mine, or a couple old t-shirts of mine, and the filling of an old cushion that I had, and made this elephant. It was mainly just so I had something to do. I have found right from the beginning up until now that I have to be doing something constantly, whether that's playing on my phone, playing on my tablet, watching a movie, colouring in, making something, cooking, making my videos, you know. I have to be doing something, because as soon as I stop and I'm alone with my thoughts, they just weigh me down so much, and I can't get back out of my head. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, I made this elephant just to give me something to do. Then the next post I made was on Mother's Day, so that was on May 13th, and I had just got my first period since the birth, and it was one of the most painful periods I've ever had in my life. There was a lot of blood and a lot of pain and just a lot of tears. I mean, like, that was the first kick in the guts, like, hey, don't forget you're not pregnant. So yeah, I made a Mother's Day post to all mothers, especially bereaved ones, and just said that I can see you and I'm with you. Then someone tagged me in a post saying, I have heard it said that the greatest loss a human being can experience is the loss of a child. This is true. It doesn't change you, it demolishes you. The rest of your life is spent on another level. And as soon as I read that, I completely agreed with it. I do feel like I'm on another level. Like I said, I looked after my granddad before this happened, and I was looking after him for 8 months. So this has all happened like within the last year. I definitely feel like I am absolutely not the same person I was before I moved in to granddad's. I'm not even the same person I was while I was looking after granddad before the baby died. So I've gone through a lot of self-change in the last year. So the next thing I did to kind of help with my grieving was I got in touch with this charity called Huggable Hearts, which I'll link down in the description. Basically they create little hearts full of rice to weigh the same as what your baby weighed, and so mine weighed 100 grams, and they make it with baby blanket or outfit like the one behind me, or just anything that you happen to have. I didn't have very many things, I'd only just started shopping for baby stuff, so she just made it out of a blanket that she had, but that was really comforting. I ordered it and I think it got to me within a month maybe, so that's been really good to sort of cuddle and hold on to. The next post really resonated with me, and it still does, and I feel like it's going to be like this for the rest of my life. It basically just says that the worst thing about losing someone is that it happens again every morning. And like I said, I woke up this morning bawling my eyes out, and that is 100% true. I don't think I even need to explain that. I'm sure that's pretty self-explanatory. So on June 3rd we got the post-mortem results. I got a post-mortem on her to find out why I'd lost her, and then I got her cremated. So I'm just going to read the post out. It's not that I don't remember, it's just easier to read it. So I said, I have some news. After getting our baby's post-mortem results back on Friday, we found out that our baby boy Arlo was actually a healthy baby girl. The nurses and myself agreed that we saw what we thought was clearly male genitalia, but what we were seeing was actually the beginning of female genitals, and in a few weeks she would have been big enough to know her gender. I was due for my gender scan in about 2 weeks. I will be adding another post later sharing my story if anyone's interested, which I did. I'm so proud of myself for going through what I did, and if I can help just one person, then maybe it was worth it. Whether I had a son or a daughter, the love I have is still endless and the loss is still deeply felt. But please allow me to reintroduce our baby girl as Aria J. So we changed her name from Arlo John to Aria J. Her initials are still AJ. The birth certificate behind me says AJ, so it still kind of worked. I filled that out before the post-mortem results came back, but I was able to fix that up. So I was quite lucky to have connections with the local newspaper, and I had someone come around to interview me about my story. And so this went on stuff.co.nz. Talking to the lady was actually quite therapeutic. She'd also been through a baby loss, and not that she was a counsellor or anything, but it was really nice to just sort of talk to a stranger about what had happened to me, someone who wasn't so close. I don't know why, it helped. I'll link the article down below. I'm not going to read it out, but if you'd like to check it out, then that'll be down there. And next I'd like to read out a poem to you that was semi-written by myself, but also taken from other poems, and basically this was exactly how I felt this whole time. One thing I noticed about losing a child is that everyone gets over it faster than you do. Basically, grief lasts longer than sympathy does. And whenever I talk about it with certain people, I can feel that I've made them awkward. So it's almost like I end up having to reassure them when it was actually me who needed the reassurance. So for a while I gave up talking about it. I only really talk about it with my partner now, because I feel like some people just are sick of hearing about it. And I really hate that I feel that way, or that I'm made to feel that way. I don't know whether it's in my head or not, but I just wish that I could talk about her more openly, because regardless of whether she's alive or not, she's still a part of my family, and she's a part of their family too. You'll know what I mean when I read this anyway, so I'm going to read this out to you. I'm the mother with the dead baby. It's okay, I'm allowed to be so blunt because it's my truth. I'm the lady whose baby died. My baby lived in my womb for 17 weeks and then one day she died. This is what happened. It doesn't offend me if you acknowledge this, it offends me if you don't. You see, I know that my baby died. I will not forget this. So when you whisper about it like it's a secret that feels shameful, it makes me feel like you're embarrassed for me. I'm not embarrassed about my baby, and I'm not embarrassed that she died. I'm sad that she died. There's a difference. And I'm allowed to be sad that my baby died. Please stop trying to cheer me up. When you respond by trying to cheer me up, it feels dismissive. Being supportive does not mean making me happy. It means sticking around even when I'm not. When you honour my emotions, you honour my child. When I say my daughter's name and you not so subtly change the subject, you're not doing so to protect me. You're avoiding the subject of my child because you are uncomfortable. If you were talking about your own loved one who had passed away and I stopped meeting your gaze or frantically switched topics, you would be upset with me. The same thing applies here. My baby is not an awkward topic. She is the life that we created. She is my daughter. I am not awkward about this, so why are you? Please understand. I believe that when you do these things, it is with the best intentions, but I need you to know that your intentions have a painful impact. So while you get to walk away with your good intentions, I am left with the hurtful impact you unknowingly left behind. I may be the mother whose baby died, but you can still talk to me like you did when I was the mother who was going to have a baby. You can still say her name and let me know that you care about her. You can still ask me how I'm doing and wait around to hear my answer. Please don't ignore my truth, especially when I'm so strongly committed to sharing it. I have not made my baby's death a secret, so I don't need your help in hiding her. That's where the struggle comes from. I have to keep talking about her and saying her name because she can't. I can't stop because then she will disappear. I know you want to change what happened to me, so do I, but the reality is that we just can't. I will always be the mother whose baby died. I will always be the woman who is living without her child. I am okay talking about that. Are you? And yeah, so basically that was just a message to try and confront people who, the people who do walk away from me mid-conversation or try and change the subject because they feel awkward. I don't understand why you feel awkward. It didn't happen to you, it happened to me. And I'm, like the post said, I wouldn't change subject if you were talking about someone who passed away in your family, your parent or your grandparent. So I really don't understand the stigma around baby loss. I actually don't understand it. On July 11th I got my tattoo, and I found a tattoo artist in my town that was willing to put her ashes in it for me, so I could have her with me always. And I found that really helpful to know that she's literally right here above my heart. So pretty much I was just trying to keep myself busy. I did a lot of sort of crafts and that sort of thing. I made this bracelet which has 5 strands and each strand represents something different. So like the black one has 10 for the day that she was born, the purple one has 4 for the month she was born, the next one has 18 for the year she was born, and so on and so forth. So each strand represented something about her. The next post I found really resonated with me, and it's basically the best advice that I could give you, and advice that I really need to take on board myself, and that is that the only cure for grief is to grieve. Basically you have to feel whatever it is that you're going to feel, whether it's anger, sadness, happiness. Don't feel bad when you feel happy. Don't feel like you have to be sad all the time. You're allowed to have good days, and you're allowed to embrace them just as much as you're allowed to have your off days where all you can do is lie in bed and cry. And you'll have both, and you have no idea which day is going to be which, and you might even have both those feelings in one day. You know what I mean? You might start off the day really feeling really good, and then something will happen, or you'll see something and it'll just shut you down, and that's it for the rest of the day. I have a lot of triggers everywhere. I really hate using that word, but that's the best word I can use to describe it. Seeing pregnant women, seeing babies, listening to a baby cry is the hardest one for me. Basically just anything to do with babies is super hard. So this next post I made was from my own heart, from my mind, and this was on August 29th. And this is exactly how I feel from then right up until now. And it says, I've never known a pain like this. I've never felt so much despair. I've never been so deep in my own mind before. I'm drowning and I can't swim. I see people around me floating while I gasp for air and reach out for life. A part of me died the day that you died, and when you died, and when you died. I had 3 people pass away within 4 months. I barely comprehended one before the next one happened, and there's things around Granddad's end of life / death that haunt me. I carried the weight of Papa's death on one shoulder and the weight of Granddad's death on the other, and then when my child died, it's like I got crushed under the weight of 1,000 thunderstorms. I don't even know where to begin to heal. I don't understand anything, and I've never felt so lonely in my life, even when I'm surrounded by people. I feel it physically, a rumble in my guts or a pounding in my chest. I don't feel whole anymore, and I'm crumbling. This grief is all-consuming and overwhelming. I can't cope with this. I need to spill everything to someone, like everything. But more times than not, when I talk about the birth of my daughter, people walk away because it's too awkward for them, and I'm left feeling even more alone. I don't want to die, but sometimes I wish I could have gone to. And that's exactly how I feel. And, like, I'm not necessarily suicidal, but I am pretty content with whatever my fate is. I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't want to die because I understand exactly what it feels like to be the person who's left behind, and I couldn't do that to the people that I love, and that won't happen. But I honestly wouldn't care whether I was here or not, so that's just how it is. So on the 17th of September, which was my birthday, it was also my due date, so I posted basically just a thanks for all the birthday wishes. Today I should have been sharing a birthday with my beautiful daughter, but instead I'm sitting here looking through photos of our short time together and crying. I wish things were different, and I wish you were here with me. What I wouldn't give to hear you calling out for me in the night, or seeing your sweet blue eyes gazing up at me while we cuddle. I wish I could watch you taking your first breath and give you your first feed today, dressing you in the clothes I bought and wrapping you in the blanket I wrap around myself. I should have you in my arms, not in an urn. Mummy and Daddy miss you, sweet Aria, and not a day goes by that I won't think and speak of you. I love you endlessly. I'm proud to call you my child, and I hope I make you proud too. Today should have been your birthday as well, baby girl, not just mine. So right now I should have 10.5-week-old. I think the hardest part for me will be knowing that every day on my birthday she should be a year older with me, and I'm never ever going to forget. Not that I would anyway, but I'm definitely never going to forget what my due day was. Lastly, I'd just like to read you a post that was posted by a baby loss awareness group that I'm a part of. There's a support group in New Zealand called SANS, and basically it's a group of mothers who have experienced baby loss, whether it was in the first trimester, second, third, or after birth. And so this came from them. I'll link their details in the description below too, as well as just some helpline numbers for New Zealand. So this is, what is it like to experience pregnancy and infant loss? It's having a baby without having a baby to hold. It's holding your breath when you're asked how many children do you have. It's when even the busiest room is always missing one person. What is it like to lose your child? It's never being able to exhale. It's waking up to a day that is always incomplete. It's stepping into the sunlight but never escaping the shadows. What is it like to live without your baby? It's watching a heartbreaking movie that you wish ended differently. It's like wearing a shoe that never really fits. It's putting together a puzzle when you know a piece is missing. What is it like to know the heartbreak of child loss? It's a song that you can't get out of your head. It's like you're shouting and all that anyone hears is a whisper. It's knowing your dream will never come true and knowing that you will never stop dreaming. I posted that yesterday. And yeah, so like I said, it's been 7 months, 7.5 months, and basically it still does feel as raw as it did back then. I definitely have my moments where I feel okay, and I also have my moments where I just wish that I could be with her. And yeah, there's not really any way to end this video. Basically my advice would be to do whatever it is you feel will make you more content with your life. By that I mean whether it's talking to people about your story, sharing it in the newspaper, sharing it on Facebook, writing it down in a diary so only you know. Maybe you could even make a video without posting it. Whatever it is that makes you feel better, do it, and stuff what anyone else says. My next piece of advice would be to stay away from your crutches. By that I mean if you drink and you know that when you're upset you drink more, if you smoke dope and you smoke more when you're upset, if you self-harm, if you gamble, just any of your crutches, try and stay away from them, because I didn't, and they have consumed me, and I am so dependent on them now that I can't get up in the morning without doing one or the other. I'm not going to tell you what I do, but most of you would know anyway. I can't really give advice on when exactly you'll feel better, because I don't think that we ever will. I don't think we're ever going to be better. I feel like maybe one day we'll be okay, but we're never going to feel the same as we felt before the loss of our child. And people need to understand that we're different people now. They can, I know it's hard to explain, because they can still talk to us like we're the same person, but we're not the same person. So I can see why people get confused. Again, I'm just putting this out there for anyone who happens to be searching up baby loss and what your grief will feel like. People aren't wrong when they say that it comes in waves. It definitely does. And I don't quite know about the stages of grief. I haven't felt angry necessarily. I felt angry at myself and angry at my body for letting me down. The reason I had my miscarriage, I just realised I forgot to mention, was because of a blood clot in my uterus. It's called a subchorionic hematoma, and it was growing between my uterine wall and my placenta. So it was, I think it was growing on the placenta, but between that and my uterine wall, so not inside it. It started at 4 centimetres when I was 8 weeks, and by 12 weeks it had grown to 8 centimetres, and it was basically doubling in size right up until I had the baby. And the only reason I had her was because the blood clot got so large it irritated my body into going into labour. My waters broke and I started having contractions. So I definitely feel like I should have harassed the doctors a lot more for information I feel like I wasn't given, but I had a right to know. And I know for sure that my next pregnancy, whenever it happens, will be a lot different, and this won't happen to me again. I'm not saying that I'm not going to lose another baby, because that definitely could potentially happen, but the events around my baby loss and the trauma that is with it won't happen, because I know more. If I had gone to the hospital when my waters broke, I wouldn't have noticed I was having my baby when I went to the bathroom. And so next time I know that if my waters break, I will be getting straight to the hospital and staying there until I am in the clear. So I am taking it as a learning experience, and I'm trying to learn as much from it as I can, so I'm not as naive next time. And it will never be a positive experience, but it's definitely one that I can learn from and that I feel like I can teach people with. So yeah, if you'd like to check out the full story of my baby loss, then have a look on my channel. I posted a storytime video. It's captioned Granddad's brain cancer and the death of my baby, and I think I start talking about the baby in either the second or third video if you don't want to necessarily hear about Granddad. Otherwise feel free to watch all 4 of them. I had to make them in 4 parts because I couldn't upload that big of a video because I only use my tablet, but they only go for about an hour altogether. So I'm going to leave this video there. If you want to ask me anything, or if you want to know anything, then please don't be afraid to ask me. I am an open book, and like I said, I am not ashamed of what happened to me, and I will talk about her until the day that I die. So ask me anything, tell me anything. If you have advice for me on what I can do to help with my grieving, then please let me know, because that would be so helpful. And just be gentle with yourself, be accepting of your feelings, and just know that you're not alone. I promise you're not alone. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.